Hi everyone, Sue Matsuki here with another Sue's Muse for Nightlife Exchange. Today I have a dear friend. We go way back. I go way back with everybody because I'm old basically, but he's not so old. Please welcome James Beaman to the video today. I was going to say the stage, but to the video. Hi James, thank you so much for being
Hey,
here today.
Sue.
So
Thank you for having me.
I want to talk about the fact that you go away, you have this huge career as an impersonator, Lauren Bacall, and of course Marlene Dietrich for years. For years, I have a picture I'm going to show everybody later. Um, and you go away and you start directing Broadway, off-Broadway shows and regional theater and all these other things. You start acting again, and then you come back on campus, what, a couple years ago, and you're now looking at a new cabaret show, and you now have hung a director's shield. Tell me a little bit about that whole transition and what you've been doing since we last saw you in your impersonation days.
Well, I mean, I've been back longer than you think, but you're correct. I started here with my Lauren Bacall show, Don't Tell Mama on Monday nights back in 1993, commuting from Boston. And she brought me here, and I did her and three shows as Marlene, which I took all over the country and over to Germany, to Berlin. And it was a great time. But I reached a sort of a wall with myself creatively with all that stuff. And it's tough to maintain the level of costume and
Yeah.
mise en scène. I had a four-piece band at the Firebird and a $3,000 gown, and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And I just was like, it took 2 hours to do the makeup and then 50 minutes to do the show. So I reached a sort of a point with it. And then I did a show with Goldie DeVere and David Mayako, which I also directed and created, called Crazy World, which was a review of Leslie Bricusse. And that was 2002. And we all won the Mac Award for Review of the Year that year, which is just awesome. And then I went to graduate school and studied Shakespeare and went away and became an actor. And then I got, unexpectedly, a couple years after graduation, I got spam a lot. I played Sir Robin in the national tour for 2 years, and it just kind of moved me into this other sphere. And I've been doing a lot of musical theater. It's so funny. I went to school for Shakespeare, and I do almost all musical theater.
Mhm.
Um, why am I back? Well, you know what? I came back into the world of cabaret with Goldie DeVere, who's a dear friend. We met selling cosmetics at Henry Bendel back in the 90s. And we sort of connected with each other and realized we were both in the biz.
I
And
remember I used to get the little gift packages from her of great face cream and stuff like that when
yes,
you
well,
guys
she's,
worked there. Yeah.
she's the maven for sure. But that's how we met. And then, we've had this relationship for a long time. And then we lost track of each other for almost a decade.
Mhm.
Just, I went my way. She was, dealing, and her husband became
Yeah.
unwell and all this stuff. And when Paul passed away, I was one of the first phone calls she made. And she called me up and she told me the news. And I told her, of course, I'm there for her. And she said, I want to sing again.
Mhm. So now you're doing
So,
this new series called Sneak Preview, which I'm going to be in the next one on Tuesday, actually.
yes,
Um,
yes.
Tell me how that came to be. I mean, I know you're directing her new newly Anthony Newley solo show, and I know that
Yes.
you're working on all these other projects with her. But
Yes.
this particular one, this is you said you're more curating the talent. What's going on with this?
Well, it's just we're kind of finding out what it is, but basically, it's stepping into that space where Wonderful Salon was for so long,
Mhm.
and not an open mic. It's not an open mic. But it is a more loose feeling, more connected with the audience. It's an opportunity for artists to get up and do stuff that they're working on
Mhm.
currently, that's in process. And the only rule is that you have to sing something that no one's heard you sing, that no audience has heard. So the mavens get to be in on that,
Oh, cool.
while the artists get to support each other and their process in a safe space, right? So, and every month it's a different theme, so that people get to experience all the many different facets of our community,
What are
including
some of the
what
themes
you're
that are
doing with
coming up?
Gregory Taroya.
Yeah. What are some of
Excuse
the
me.
themes coming up?
So the next one, which would you know about because you're going to be in, is it's called "See You in September," and it's little capsule presentations of like 3 numbers from works that are new shows that are going to premiere in the fall. So it really is a sneak peek
Really
at
nice.
that. And then in August, we're doing You're Going to Hear From Me, which is a collection of new voices in cabaret. 4 people brought in by Lenny Watts from his Signasium and Cab Lab world. And Scott Barberino is going to bring in some people he's
Oh, he has some wonderful
nurturing at
talent.
Ellen's
Yeah.
Stardust Diner.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 8 singers you've never seen before. And we're super excited about that. And then come September, we've got singer-songwriters, so people who write their own material and accompany themselves. And we're going to have in October, it's a little more mascara, and we're going to do all of our disguised, impersonators and
Oh,
characters
super,
and
super,
and
super.
stuff. So it really is something that we're making up as we go. But Goldie is the hostess with the
Yeah,
mostest.
she's a
She's so
doll. She's a lot of
charming.
fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
she
I
knows
want her to
everybody.
nurture that.
Yeah. Now you
Yeah.
just closed a show called Lived Experience. Tell me a little bit about that show, and are you hoping to bring it back at some point?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Well, cabaret is where I started in New York in '93. I've been here a long time. And it seems like I've come full circle around back to it. And I think there's reasons for that. It's a bigger conversation, but I think cabaret is still one of the only places where you can get up on a stage in New York City with an audience, with a built-in staff, with state-of-the-art lighting, like I had at the Triad, and video projection and sound and all kinds of great stuff, and do the show you want to do.
Mhm. With no type.
You,
You don't have to be a type. That's my favorite part. Sydney and I discussed
yeah,
that about how the beauty of cabaret is I can be an ingenue and look like I do. It doesn't matter. I don't have to be a specific type. And then that's an awesome
that's
thing
it.
to have in our
And I
industry.
think people are hungry for an intimate experience. You see it every night of the week at Downtown Mama. That piano bar is packed with people. People really want a connection. People love music. They love singing. And it's a very vulnerable thing to do, to get up and sing, as you know. And I love working with singers and performers of all types. Now,
Yeah.
while I am sort of I love being the new kid on the block as a
Yes, you
director
are the new
because it makes me
director
feel
on the
so
block.
dewy and young. I'm not, it's funny. I'm honored. I think the directors that are there and they educate people like Lenny and Lena and Tanya, and I mean, it's just incredible people, and Barry, and all of these wonderful people who've been working at it for
All
so
with
long and
different
do it so well.
perspectives, which is wonderful, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But I've been lucky because the people who've come to me they're very unique individual people, so we got Goldie up on her feet and back in Mama's arms, and she recorded an album, and we've been building that up. Sierra Ryan, who's the front lady for Marquee 5 for all these years, she came to me a few years back now, and she said, I want to do a solo cabaret. And we created Running in Place for her, which
Her
won the Mac
show is one
Award
of
and
the
the
best
Bistro
shows
Award.
I've ever seen. I swear to you.
Isn't it great?
Not
Yeah.
only do I think she's the most gorgeous woman on the planet, that voice of hers is unworldly, but
She
that
can sing anything.
show was so beautifully constructed, and it was a
Yes.
spectacular show. I guess I didn't
Yes.
realize that you were involved with that. I saw that
Yeah.
like 3 times. Good for you.
Yeah. That was my show with Bill Zeffro, wonderful Bill Zeffro.
And you're doing
And
Richard
Bill has,
Skipper now too, right?
yes. Well, Richard and I we were in high heels together back in the day. And yeah, he had been doing all this podcasting, wonderful stuff that's really elevated the community for years, but he really needed to get back to performing. And man, he's a great performer, charming, sounds better than ever,
And the best
terrific.
hosts too, like Goldie. He's a
Yes.
great host. He really
Yes.
welcomes a room. But
Yeah.
speaking of back in the day, I want to just share this with everyone. Look at this picture. I mean, you are
Yeah.
a true artist with makeup as well, and I know that that's another one of your many, many skills. How did
Well, I was lucky that Stephen Mosier was my photographer
did he
for
take
all
this
those
shot? Oh my
years.
goodness, it's
He did.
beautiful.
He did. And this shot, it's interesting because this is mid '90s, and we took this picture on stage at 88's where I was doing my show, and in the stage lighting that Matt Berman created for that, and Matt is an artist, true artist, and This shot, the only retouching on this shot, and it was done by hand because it was those times,
Yeah.
was my hand. The veins and stuff in my hand were softened, but that makeup is unretouched. No filters. And the story behind that picture, God bless Stephen Mosher. When I went to Berlin to do my show in 1999, this was the shot that was on these giant posters that were all over Berlin.
Wow.
And before we opened there, and the few hurried days that we had to throw the show up in this theater, they got a cease and desist order from the Marlene Dietrich estate, namely Maria Riva, Marlene Dietrich's daughter, saying you don't have permission to use a picture of Marlene Dietrich.
But it's
And
me.
so I had to have Stephen Mosher contact the Marlene Dietrich estate and provide proof that this was a picture of me.
Son of
You
a.
can't get better publicity than that.
Heck no. Heck no. That is spectacular. And now,
Yes.
I mean, I spoke of all your many talents. The
Yes.
graphic that you're using is kind of an
Yeah.
electronic graphic and has all of our pictures and everything. Where did you learn how to do that? I mean, you're looking for a
Well, it's
graphic artist, postcard design. Take a look at his work, and we'll have how they can contact you on the below on
yeah.
this interview. Um,
Yeah, I also have a Facebook. I have a Facebook page
and a
for
website.
my graphic
I'll
stuff.
have all those
Yeah.
links on this interview at the bottom of this interview. But I want to say, go look at the sneak preview graphic. It's on my page. It's like the second one down on my page, and it's all interactive and everything. I mean, it's like a little baby sizzle reel. It's fantastic.
Well, I think everybody, I mean, most of us had to take up a hobby or something
Oh,
during
yeah.
lockdown. And mine was Canva. You know, when we were kids, I'm sure you remember this. Certain people of a younger generation will not know what I'm talking about, but there was something called color forms.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? And they were like little vinyl stickers,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you would stick them onto a background and you could peel them back off and use them again.
Right.
And that's what this is like, but it's digital. So it's these elements that you can play with. You can change their color. It is endless, endless fun. And I just started having fun with it and playing with it. It's a great time waster. I'm a writer as well, and it's terrific for procrastination.
But you
You know?
also have a good sense of color and eye and design
Yeah,
too, which isn't
yeah.
something that you can just play with and learn.
No, and it's
Really
funny
has
because
it
my father was
innately
an
in you.
artist.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my dad was an artist and he was a set designer and he taught me how to draw and paint. And then when my mother started her own business and she ran the Boston Children's Theater for a time, I worked for her and I did all of the brochures and program covers and posters and stuff for the shows. But that was all cut and paste, literally cut and paste.
Really. So listen, y'all, if you're looking for a new director who will do everything for you, design your poster, do your little
I do
sizzle.
it
This
all.
is the man. This is the man. I will have how you can contact him below. I wanted to ask you before we close down, these are very short interviews and everything, but I really
Yep.
appreciate you
No,
being
thank you for covering so much ground.
no, I really want everybody to get to know who you are and not just what you
Yeah.
do, but who you are as a person. Speaking of your dad or your mom, what was some advice that a mentor had given you at some point, either professionally or just in life, that you still kind of keep in your heart to this day?
Mm. Well, I live at Manhattan Plaza. And Manhattan Plaza, many people may know, is kind of a legendary building. And it's the kind of the first big public housing project for
Artists.
performing artists.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I've been here a long time, like 23 years, something like that. And for about 18 years, Jan Maxwell lived down the hall from me with her family. People may remember Jan. She was a great Broadway actress, a seven-time Tony nominee, and just astonishing artist who left us much, much too soon. And Jan and I would always collide with each other, waiting for the elevator outside here. And she was so incredibly kind and generous. She gave me tickets to see Follies and let me go backstage. And I was like, Kelly. Anyway, she was on her way to LA to do a short run of the production of Follies
Mm-hmm.
post Tony. She didn't win the Tony, she should have. And I said, so what happens after that, after LA? And she went, and my jaw hit the floor. This is
Wow.
just been nominated for a Tony Award, like star,
Right.
actress, didn't have a next gig lined up. And she looked at me, and this is the advice, Sue. She looked at me and she put her hand on my shoulder and she looked me in the eye and she said, Jamie, It's not a ladder.
Oh my goodness.
And I went,
Holy,
you think
yeah.
that you're going to build on this, and then you're going to build on that, and you're going to build on that, and then you go to Broadway, and then blah, 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 blah. But that's not what it is. We know that.
Right.
We know that.
Oh, that's really
Yeah.
sweet. That's really
So it was help. It was like glorious that she gave me that before she went to heaven, to actor heaven, because to me, I thought I'm going to work hard and I'm going to that I'm undeniable and all of those wonderful things that I grew up in the 70s believing from Fame and Flashdance and all that stuff. The dream's alive, but you can't live the dream.
right. Just got to live in the
And
moment, man, you
well,
know?
yes, and as cabaret people, bringing that full circle, you're in charge.
Right.
You're in charge. And one of the great things I do as a director for people, in addition to I have a wealth of knowledge about repertoire, I'm really great at helping people hone what it is they want to sing, what they want to say. I've worked with lots of different types of people. I've worked with a tennis pro who became a rapper on his one man show. I worked with wonderful Becca Kidwell, who is just this like little genius savant of a performer
Okay, she's
and
coming
is
tomorrow.
really going places and works with Jeff Harner as well. I have been welcomed in and I love all of those people there. And I offer great rates for graphics, and I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of what people are doing. Selfishly, I'm excited about Sneak Peek because it's a chance for me to have a free seat on
Look
the
behind the
sidelines and watch y'all
curtain.
do your thing. Yeah, exactly.
James, thank you so much for being with us today. I really, really appreciate it. As I said, at the bottom of this interview, we will have all kinds of links for you to click on if you want to reach James or talk to him about maybe doing some work or needing some help with any aspect of our business.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's just been delightful to catch up with you. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time on Sue's Muse.